Minecraft just revealed the vault, but they did so with a 30-second explanation that raises just as many questions as it answers, like will you be able to mine the vault, will you be able to find it in other structures, and why did they show off a different variant of the trowel key? Are there going to be two in the game that are used for different things? Well, KingBDogs is one of the most prolific Minecraft developers, and he gave us some decent answers to a lot of the implementation concerns, and so if you're feeling confused or pessimistic about the vault, I guarantee that will change by the end of this video, because I got a lot of questions asking why are there two different keys, and then speculating on what the second key could be used for. However, it does seem as though it's going to be an old trowel key and a new trowel key. This is the trowel key we have in the current previews and betas, and this is the one they'll be using as they introduce the vault. The old one looks a lot more like a deep dark, and the new one looks a lot more themed towards the trowel chambers, and KingBDogs' official explanation is that the original key texture was never aimed at the deep dark, it's just an older texture of vaults had blue eyes instead of orange ones. We opted to change it so that the vault and the trowel spawners had the same eye color. This is interesting because it implies that there was a previous vault that was almost ready to go at some point that had an entirely different design, and when they changed the vault behavior, they also changed the design to make it seem more like the trowel spawners. However, this is one of people's biggest criticisms, so why would they do that? Why would they make the trowel spawner and the vault feel even more identical? Because many people will say that actually when you go to a trowel spawner, you kill mobs so that you can get loot. What is the point of some of that loot just being used to get you more loot? And the answer is that Minecraft are trying to solve a bit more of a delicate problem, so here it is. Right now, when you go to a structure in Minecraft and loot the chests, those chests are now looted forever, and this is a particularly big problem in some structures over others, but basically the first person to explore a world has a big advantage over everyone else, and so the vault fixes that by allowing everyone to use it precisely once, and so this mystical loot that you get the first time is not just for opening a chest, but instead everyone who comes through, if they can get a key, they can use it and they can get this loot for themselves. We don't know precisely what that loot will be, however, this is something a lot of people immediately hear as a really cool solution and wonder if the vault should be in every end city, or at least newly generated ones. Elytras are damn near impossible to get on older servers unless they are gifted to you. Hopefully whatever new dimension the Deep Dark Portal goes to will have vaults, please, and that is an interesting point because we have a direct response about will these be in other dimensions, and the answer is that vaults were designed to be multi-purpose and can be used in other structures. Right now, however, we're focusing on the trowel chambers, but they are designed to be usable in any structure. Of course, it's not as simple as just slapping vaults in an old structure, it will require tweaking, and I think one of the biggest tweaks would probably be the design. I think the vault with its current texture would be a little bit jarring if you just threw it in an end city or the Nether, and so it's important to tweak this, and indeed KingBDogs does say himself that if there is a great interest coming in them for other structures, it's great feedback to hear from and will inform future development, i.e. probably post 1.21, but he wants players to see how it feels right in trowel chambers first, and a lot of people do think the vault is a really great idea that just feels right. However, a lot of people, 93 in fact, still don't understand why they need to be once per player. It should just be on a cooldown like the spawners, so then they're infinitely replayable dungeons. This is actually a pretty tempting idea too. Who doesn't want to have a trowel chamber that you can play and play and play again? But then, just like with any Minecraft world, if you could have everything you wanted in one place, what would be the point in exploration? And indeed, they do confirm, we have KingBDogs saying that if you do go to a vault in an old trowel chamber, then you can go to a vault in another one, and so if you like what you get in the vault so much that you want to go again, you shouldn't just wait 30 minutes, but instead you should go and explore a different one. This is something that really does have a lot of people torn, because some people like Frogmouth2 will say, well, haven't they learned from the Rascal that no one wants enchanted iron gear? Like, I still believe if they show him dropping good loot or an even exclusive item, he would have been a lot more popular, and this is true for the vault too. The vault will be popular if it has something inside of it that's so good that people want it, and indeed, all we have from KingBDogs is that, as he said many times, the loot is not final and will, that is underlined, that make sure you know, will change before release. This is not fixed. We will be seeing some previews and we'll be seeing them trying to tweak it, because this is the first time they've ever made a set of loot that you only get one time per structure, and so realistically only get a few times per world, because finding trowel chambers is not massively easy, especially without chunk base, and so that is something that is quite important, I think. And so that also then brings us into the nice round point of how to save this feature from flopping is an interesting comment. Although, by the way, just in case you're thinking of flops, I do want to talk about the Minecraft Legends. It will be coming up. They did recently discontinue it. There's a lot of thoughts people have, but first things first, ways to save the feature of the trowel chamber vault from flopping. 1. Make the vault multiple use. Okay. 2. Let us pick up the vault using Silk Touch. Okay, that's something. And then add unique drops rather than mid-tier loot. So I want to talk about the multiple use thing. That is not going to be happening because no matter what delay you put on it, you're just going to be making it more like the trial spawner and less unique as an item. It has to be one time and it has to be good, in my opinion, for it to actually make any sense as a feature. But I think as well as that, something that's important to say is the second point here is something that a lot of people have questions about. Can you silk touch the vault and move it elsewhere? And in my opinion, the answer should be probably yes, right? If you can use the vault one time per person per world, what does it matter where you put it? If you wanted to, you could gather a bunch of vaults into one place and you could give them to new players in your world. However, we got an interesting confirmation from Gingby Dogs. He responds to Simply Sark, who says, are they breakable though? I feel like on servers, people will just destroy them for the sake of being a jerk. And this is something that is very real, right? Like if you could destroy them for the sake of destroying them, people would do that. However, Gingby Dogs just says, we never prevent players from being jerks in Minecraft. It's a sandbox after all, but what we do to discourage this is make it take incredibly long to mine, same as the trial spawners. It's a nice middle ground where it can still be destroyed, albeit very slowly, to build something else, and this is actually a really good approach in my opinion. You might think, wait, so you can't move the vaults, you can only destroy them and it takes too long? That feels like a bad solution for everyone, but one of the things that Minecraft is considering here is what if you wanted to build a really long rail tunnel and you accidentally found a trial chamber? You don't want the spawners, you don't want the vault there, maybe you do intend to raid it first, but you don't want it there in the long term. You shouldn't have random blocks like, say, the chiseled deep slate or end portal frames just cluttering up your world and making the sandbox part of the game feel less good, and so I like that they're making the vault mineable, but it will take a really long time. We don't know the exact long time yet, but let's just assume 4, 5, 6 minutes, right? Like, you know, the amount of time that is far too long for anyone to do for any non-deliberate reasons. This would mean that if you wanted to troll people, sure, if you want to be a jerk, feel free to, but allowing people to be jerks in multiplayer is allowing people to choose their own destiny in single player, and that is a trade-off I do really like. However, I do think that that is only solving issue 1 and issue 2. Issue 3 of unique item drops is something that they really need to fix with the vault, and I feel like we should save that as the big topic of this video, but first we need to respond to an interesting comment, because I've recently shared the Minecraft blog post where they confirmed that the last Lost Legend was the one releasing in January, and there'll be no more development on Minecraft Legends for the time being. They are, in other words, discontinuing the game, and I got a really fun comment in response to this, which is, what's Minecraft Legends, lol? Which is probably the big point. Minecraft Legends was a spin-off game that they made that just never got the traction that it probably either, you could argue, deserved, or that they wanted, and so they just decided, well, if this game is doing so poorly, we're just not going to spend the money developing it. And the interesting comment from The Nasty is that that lasted for less than a year. Mojang is starting to feel like the Google of gaming, and this is a big problem as a studio, I think, when you get successful. When you are doing, you know, I feel like when you're scraping around, whether it's on the YouTube front, whether it's in, when it's any form of business, you have to work out what it takes to be successful and do that. But the bigger you get, and believe me, Mojang is huge and so too is Microsoft, once you get bigger and bigger, it's hard to work out what's actually successful, what is actually liked by people, and what's only working because you're already successful, you're building on that. This is something that I do see Minecraft Legends falling into, and it's a bit of a shame in my opinion, because the game had some potential, but I just think they acted on it far too late, and it's something I've got so many thoughts on. I've been writing down like all the thoughts, and it's so far equal like 4 or 5 pages. There's so much I want to say about Minecraft Legends that I can't fit it all in Q&A Saturday, and so instead I'll say, man, that sucks, and I hope that Microsoft and Mojang don't become the Google of gaming. I hope they don't keep on, you know, I hope that they start to take things back to first principles and say, what is it that makes a fun game and a fun update? Because I think a lot of people are seeing that with Minecraft updates, and I think they're slowly working their way back, but the last couple have not landed with people, which is a problem. How do Mojang make things that are exciting and popular with the community is a question I'm sure a lot of people are hoping to answer, and I hope they get it right. Speaking of trying to engage with people, hey Toycat, when are you retiring and leaving YouTube forever? Is another question that I've been getting recently, and so the answer to this one is, by the way, if you're curious, these are dark mode because I took these screenshots on my phone versus my PC. I personally, I think dark mode is very overrated, but when I get cancelled for having the opinion that dark mode isn't actually that good, maybe that's when I'll have to leave. But more seriously, on a personal me front, YouTube is one of those businesses that really, you know, like it's a self-employed thing that you slowly work out into building a channel that people enjoy, and that is a job that is getting harder and harder because it is one of the most sought after jobs entertainment always tends to be. And so in that way, as you're growing and growing and growing, unlike most other successful businesses, if you're doing really good, or even if you're not doing really good but it's getting really hard, you can opt out about of being the, you know, the face of it all. And if you have a really successful restaurant, you hire restaurant managers and cooks and stuff. On YouTube, you don't really have the equivalent, and so you have to enjoy this, talking directly to the camera and to the audience, and that can be stressful for a lot of people. Personally, I really enjoy teaching people things, and in my opinion, the best way to do so is right here, and that's why I don't intend to leave YouTube, because I really love what I do. I think this is one of the coolest jobs to have. I do acknowledge the downsides. I'm not one of those people who tries to pretend, it's the perfect dream all the time. Every dream job does have its downsides, but I absolutely love what I do here, just like how you might absolutely love the Vault as an idea, except for its one crucial failing, which in many people's opinion is the loot that we've seen so far. Here's what they showed in the trailer again. It's just really disappointing, right? Except they've said it's subject to change, and so that means that I think for a lot of people, the quality of the Vault, which we're hopefully seeing in the next few days via snapshots and betas, the quality of the Vault is really going to be dependent on the loot that you get inside for it. And let me talk about why this is a hard problem for Mojang to solve, because if you hear that, you might be saying, wait, if the problem is they just need to make the Vault good, then make the loot good and problem solved. Here are the 3 separate branches they could take the Vault down, and here are the downsides to each of them. So the first one is you could make it really incredible, powerful loot. Instead of just like an iron enchanted shovel right like we have right now, you could make it something great like enchanted diamond armor, potentially netherite upgrades, the sorts of things that are really, really useful in the late game. These would be incredible. However, no matter how good you make loot within the existing system, you know, if you take any existing Minecraft item, there is another way to get it. There is someone who already has it, and there is someone who's disappointed when they go to the Vault and they just get a copy of something they don't really need anymore because you've already upgraded all of your tools to netherite, or you've already got a decent piece of enchanted armor, or you just don't need an enchanted apple, for example. So that is the problem with using existing good loot. The second idea is maybe you could make it something like, wow, what if you could make the loot better by getting illegal enchantments like Efficiency 6 or Unbreaking 4? This was the idea behind treasure enchantments when they made mending, but then they messed up with villagers and we're in the situation we are right now. But what if they made actual treasure enchantments that could only be found via the Vault, or something else that is unique enough to make and only exists in this one place, so that you have to come here no matter how good your loot is elsewhere. If you want to get these things, you need to be in the trial chambers. Well, the upside to this is everyone would be excited to find a trial chambers. You would finally be able to get these illegals or these incredible enchantments. However, then you would be coming to this structure specifically to get it. This can be fine, obviously, if it's 100% chance, but then you only need one trial chamber, and you'd never be excited about the second Vault in your world or the third, and if you have a long-term world, you're going to find more of those. So instead, they could make it a % chance, so that every single time you might get something fun and unique, but in that case, you might have a really rare enchantment you want to get, but you keep getting unlucky, in the same way that when you wanted to get the new trim after 1.20, some people found it in the second ancient city they went to, like me, and some people, like my friend Silent Whisperer, went through 30 plus ancient cities just to get that same 8% chance. It is wild how different odds work for different people, and so if you make something too strong and too unique, then it's too luck based, because the entire mechanic is based around luck. And the third solution is the current one, which is kind of like when you brush suspicious stand and you get stick or wheat. If the average quality of loot is low enough and there's just some random good things in there, then you never really expect anything, but when you do get something great, it's a really nice surprise. These are the 3 different paths they can go down, and each of them comes with problems. I do think that having generally very powerful loot mixed with unique things is what I want as a survival player, because I'm very late in my game, but some people would argue that actually that unbalances things. In the same way that the ancient city works, if that loot is too good, people go there specifically. If the loot isn't good enough, no one ever wants to go there. This is the struggle Minecraft comes to, but ultimately as a sandbox game, all they really need to do is never make you feel too disappointed or too overpowered, and then you'll have a good time, and that is the solution with the Vault, in my opinion. But again, this is something that I think we'll have to play around with to be sure about. I want to know how it works of placing these things in creative. I want to know how it works of finding multiple copies and if there's a good enough reason to do so, and I want to know what loot they're going to put inside, because in my opinion, as a solo player, this is a fun gimmick that's important for multiplayer, but to my world and to my ears, it matters what loot they're putting inside as to whether I care about it. But let me know what your opinions are after you've heard everything in the comments down below. Does this change your opinion on it? Are you a bit more excited, or are you still underwhelmed? And how do you feel about the Vault as a whole? I do get very excited about the trial chambers. I think it's my particular niche of a feature, but like I said, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below, because this has been Q&A Saturday on its new slot of Sunday, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.